Hello. Today we are reviewing the latest releases from Xiaomi, Redmi Note 14 and Note 14 Pro. We will not only unbox them but also analyze how they differ and which model is worth the money. The Redmi Note 14 continues the tradition of budget-friendly yet powerful smartphones. And its older sibling, the Note 14 Pro, promises a practical display, cameras, and performance. But is the difference really that significant in practice? Let's dive in and find out. Well, let's start with the unboxing. We have two boxes on the table, the Redmi Note 14 and Note 14 Pro. The visual packaging is standard for Xiaomi, with a minimalist design, images of the smartphones, and key features. Let's take a look inside. Let's check out the design. The devices are already unboxed. In front of us, Note patunsi. It has a plastic back cover mat, quite pleasant, non-slip. Plastic body. Glossy camera module. Flat display and flat back cover. However, the Note 14 Pro model feels much nicer in hand, the back cover. By the way, it has a glass curved edge, both on the back panel and the display. The display is also curved. This creates the impression that the Note 14 Pro is slightly thinner and feels much nicer in hand. The camera block is placed in the middle, also a glossy camera block, and the matte cover also has a non-slip coating. It feels quite pleasant in hand. By the way, the body is metallic, not plastic like in the Note 14 model. Both smartphones received an AMOLED display with a resolution of 2400 by 1080 pixels and a refresh rate of 120 Hz. If you pay attention to the smoothness of the display's operation, they work almost identically, but it lags, but the 14 model. And this is mostly likely related to the fact that it has less RAM. And the processor part is also slightly worse. In general, they work almost the same way. If you pay attention to the color reproduction is much nicer on the Note 14 Pro. It might not be as beautifully conveyed through the camera, but in person, the Note 14 Pro indeed looks much more interesting. The picture is pleasing. I can say that the screens are of high quality, with good color reproduction and high brightness. The Pro version is slightly smoother and brighter, but the difference will only be noticeable under certain conditions. Now let's see how they perform. The Xiaomi Redmi Note 14 has a MediaTek J99 processor, while the Note 14 Pro has a MediaTek J100 Ultra. The difference isn't particularly large, but what I noticed in the smoothness and pleasant responsiveness of the Note 14 Pro is, indeed, a fact. We have the Xiaomi Redmi Note 14 with 6/128 memory on review, and the Xiaomi Redmi Note 14 Pro with 12x512. I suggest we test them with Antutu and Geekbench. So I have pre-installed the Antutu and Geekbench apps. Let's begin. Let's go. I'm curious to see how many points these devices will score. Subtitles. In the end, you can see the result for yourself. So next, let's try Geekbench. Let's go. Very strange results. It turns out that our Note 14 even occasionally outperforms the Note 14 Pro in some measures. Although in terms of smooth operation, the Note 14 Pro is much more interesting. They are practically identical. Here they are according to the test. They are practically identical. Strongly. Very strongly. Although the surcharge is twice as much for the Note 14 Pro, surprisingly, the benchmark showed results in the Note 14 much higher than in the Note 14 Pro. I have nothing to say. Very strange. Everything is very strange. Based on the tests, one can say that the devices do not differ much from each other. At the same time, note that I have the Note 14 Pro device 12x512, while the Note 14 model is 6x128 in terms of memory capacity, and the results in the tests showed they are practically identical. Very interesting how that happens. Is it worth paying extra? Both smartphones have multi-module camera systems. The difference between them is noticeable. The Redmi Note 14 is equipped with a 108 megapixel sensor with optical stabilization, which takes detailed and vibrant photos. It is assisted by an 8 megapixel ultra-wide-angle camera with a 120-degree field of view and a 2 megapixel camera. However, the Redmi Note 14 Pro takes another step forward. It features a flagship 200 megapixel sensor that captures more light, delivering clean and sharp images, photos. The system is complemented by an 8 megapixel ultra-wide-angle camera and a 2 megapixel macro camera. Let's test and compare. So first up for testing is the Xiaomi Redmi Note 14. You can see how beautiful or not beautiful, vibrant or not vibrant the picture is. It will be clearer. I will only see it on the editor, but no color correction or anything will be added just as it is. Basically, I'm recording the video on an iPhone 14 Pro. Not basically, it's quite enough. So you can compare and see the difference, how well it shoots or not. Also, now we will move on to the same test, but on the 14th Pro, let's switch places, and so we changed. The phones are now shooting not 14 Pro. How clear and beautiful it is, you can also see in the video. I think you will notice. I don't know. It's hard for me to say, very hard. But when I start recording, and I just reviewed the previous recording, but the 14 has a very terrible video, very terrible. We will now also do a test on photography. The photo should be decent, but the video, of course, is disgusting. Very disgusting. I think for the money these devices cost, it's easier to get a used iPhone. 6 months old, a year old, and be satisfied for much longer and enjoy it than from all these phones. If we talk about photography, the photos are still quite good. It turns out I took a couple of shots. By the way, I went outside and took a couple of shots. Night shooting is not bad. Not bad. Really not bad. I will attach the photos. You will see them now. Look, I will also take a couple more shots on. This is our Note 14 Pro. Not 14s. For comparison, portrait. Blurs the background well and has good detail. Indeed, the photos turn out quite good on the notebook. 14, what about? So now let's check the portrait on. But 14. Not bad. Not bad. Also good detail. But the photo is really good. It turns out the photos are great. So, moving on. There are still a large number of settings. You need to spend time with them. Figure it out. Now I'll show the main things that everyone mostly uses. So, it's 200 megapixels. I'll add that too. So here it's 18 megapixels. Let's check. In general, I've attached the photos. Enjoy, take a look, make your conclusions, decide whether you should get such a device or not. The choice is yours. So, let's summarize. The Redmi Note 14 and Note 14 Pro are two devices from the same line, but with different approaches to capabilities. Usually the version offers balanced features, an AMOLED display with a 120Hz refresh rate, a decent camera, and enough power for everyday tasks. It's an excellent choice for those who value battery life, a beautiful screen, and stable performance without overpaying. However, the Note 14 Pro is on another level. It has a smoother display, a more powerful processor, not by much but more powerful, and the cameras take photos with better detail and color reproduction. If you want the maximum capabilities, this option is definitely worth considering. I wouldn't say that these devices impressed me greatly, but maybe if I didn't have time constraints, I could have spent more time with them, and perhaps one of the devices would have grown on me. But if I were to make a choice, it would be the Note 14 Pro. In any case, the choice is yours. Write in the comments which smartphone is closer to you, the basic but balanced, Note 14 or the advanced Note 14 Pro. Share your opinion in the comments. I would appreciate a like and a subscription. Thank you for watching. Stay in touch. Goodbye, everyone.